So the reservoirs don't fit in the actual original desktop. So we're going to move everything from the original desktop to this desktop and add the water cooling system for the GPU and the CPU and put them in here and see how well it looks. We're not going to put it glamorous right now. We're just going to set it up, and then we'll put all this light and all this bells and whistles. If you guys want to see that, make sure you put that in the comments. This part right here, this is where the actual motherboard goes. And the best thing about it, you don't have to work on this thing. You can just remove this slot, remove the whole thing, and it comes off like that. And you just end up putting the motherboard together, passing all the cables back to the back, the power and all that stuff. Really simple to use, so you don't have to work on this machine itself. You could just work on the motherboard, put the motherboard, make sure everything's working, test it out, and then what you do is you just put the motherboard back. There's two little slots in here. They slide back down, and you're set. They hang. They pretty much just hang in there. There goes the whole thing. So we remove the whole thing, clean it up. Maybe you want to clean it up, but I want to continue having the whole thing without, you know, saving some time in order for me to do all that stuff again. So let me move this on the side. Here we are. We're gonna mount the motherboard that we just took off from that other GPU, the other system, to this attachment here. And the way it's gonna work, we're gonna try to see if we could transfer everything over in the back from here. So this actually hangs. So we're gonna mount this. We're gonna mount this right here. See how it goes with the actual screws. We're gonna twist it if we can. We want to make sure that the water and cooling system could. So we're gonna mount the motherboard in the actual system here. So we have to find the screws and find the way it goes, and right now it seems like it goes pretty much this way. So we could set the motherboard thermal take on the back end or on the side end on the other side, so I could pass this through and stand it up. So this could actually go either mounted on the top or on the side in the back. So what I'm going to do is mount this through here, pass it in through here, go into the bottom of this, and maybe lining up the motherboard. This could be out there. So we're going to mount the motherboard, and we're going to pass the actual connections to the GPU, CPU connections. Make sure they're nice and stabilized. Then we could just attach it there. Find a way so I could send the actual water cooling system to the back and make sure that the connections are well established in here without compromising this. So what I'm going to do, get all the screws here, the smaller ones, find attachments for them without compromising it. Pretty much have this sent to the back. I'm gonna have the motherboard in front, the water cooling system to the back, and it should be done, completed. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna see if I could find some screws that fit in here, because these screws are not fitting the right system. So let me find out if this works. So now we're gonna continue with the thermal take installation now on the motherboard. So now that we dismantled the motherboard, we're gonna mount the actual water cooling system in here on the back. It goes in here in this facility here, in the right in the left corner of it. We'll mount it up together, make sure the brackets are hanging together each other. Once we set it up in here, it's going to have the water and cooling heat system coming out through in the front to the motherboard to the CPU. So the GPU is standing here, where the motherboard is going to be right here. There's a gap in here where the double pipes go in here. For the actual radiator, is going to sit here, and the fans are going to be sucking in and blowing out air. Sucking one way, blowing it out the other way. So coming in through here, coming out through there. this is where the actual mount, you notice this is the actual mount that we're going to use to mount the actual cooling system in here. So I'm pretty much just going to set it up in here, screw it in together, and it should look nice and pretty, all lined up together. See how it comes out. So let's continue on the remake of this thermal tape. So now we're going to go ahead and mount the stuff over. So it has some hanging brackets in here that are going to go in here. And the hanging brackets are on the side, so they go pretty much like this. And then I'm going to mount the actual connections. Oh, there's a cable sticking up. So the actual cable goes through here. Mount them on the rack. Find the connection in here. Find it. Then push up. And we're pretty much stabilized. Then when we push up, we actually have to tie them down. So we got to make sure we screw it in there too once we set it up. We can do the cable management at the end, of course. Make sure all the connections are properly set up. This is the motherboard connections that go into here. Maybe I'm going to use this slot here in the back so they could easily be accessible. So pull them to the back. Put them to the front on this entrance. I'm going to turn it around so you guys can see exactly what's the next process going to happen. Now this is a 50-pounder. I'll take it to the back. That's how it looks on the back. So right now, I got this much pretty much hanging. I'm going to screw it in here. And we could forget about, turn it around so you guys can see where I'm going to screw the actual radiator. So it's going to go into these pile here. Let me get a screw. You got to be careful because it's aluminum and you don't want to mess it up. So don't tighten it too hard because they're very sensitive screws. It's all aluminum. Okay, so we have a fan. Pass the cable through, and there's one fan here. I'm actually going to move the fan right here in front instead of the back. So I can mount them right there. Right now I'm going to remove these screws and just add these two in there and disconnect it for now and pass the cable through maybe the top instead of the side and have another one here so it could have enough cooling on it. So that's what I'm going to end up doing right now. Now we're going to install another let me get this out of the way over here. We'll install the number 2 fan and putting red on it for now, temporary. Of course, you got to find the arrow. Like I said, the arrow is very crucial to connecting all this stuff. So pretty much it's this way. All the stuff, all the propel goes that way. And this is a cooler fan. This is a really cooler fan. Yep, so it's gonna blow air. We're gonna put it in here. Somewhere in the bottom, we're gonna remove these. There you go. 2 fans there. They're different colors, but you could replace this, of course, or you could remove it. So that's pretty much the fans it's gonna be doing the radiator, which is real nice and neat. Now we make sure we connect them both. Now we're just gonna start plugging in things. So this is a fan. Look for a fan connection. Normally they're back here, they're way back here, and they have them everywhere in different areas. They have actually plus of a connection, fan connections. All right, so now that we got the motherboard in here, let's take a closer look inside. So let me explain to you. The whole concept of this thing is that from the top, it's going to have the fans. It's going to have where the actual GPU comes in here. And then if you go, let's go down slowly. The motherboard is set here. the water cooling system for the motherboard is already set in the back, and that's already has 2 fans, which we're gonna go to the side here. Has a 2 fans here, and it goes down. Then now we have to start with the water cooling system for the GPU. But before we do that, we're gonna start with the GPU.